Hello, welcome to this severe weather update. So we do have an enhanced risk for April 24th, Thursday, today. This was added less than an hour ago. Spots of Texas, especially Texas Panhandle, and some spots there. And there's this light risk that goes all the way from Texas to Colorado, and this marginal that goes as far north as Iowa. So we do have a 30% hail threat within the Texas Panhandle, and hatched for potentially very large hail, so be careful. Those hailstones, they can cause damage, and the hatched area extends even further within the slight risk. And there's the 5% as well, so be careful. Wind, just 5% wind, so be careful some gusty winds, but nothing that crazy. And tornado, there's a small 5% tornado threat in the Texas Panhandle, and the 2% goes all the way to Kansas and Colorado, spots of Oklahoma too, and northern Texas. So be careful. Scarce severe thunderstorms are forecast late this afternoon into tonight across the southern high plains. Large to very large hail is likely with stronger storms. A couple of tornadoes are possible too, in addition to isolated severe wind gusts. So be careful in those areas, especially with hail and tornadoes. So stay safe, be careful. We'll check the storm maps in a minute. So let's see here if this works because it's acting so weird. So there's this marginal risk tomorrow for Friday, the 25th. So in spots of Oklahoma, Texas, even in eastern New Mexico, just 5% hail in those areas, some 5% wind as well, and tornado less than 2% tomorrow. So just be aware some storms too, but nothing that crazy. Isolated severe thunderstorms are possible across portions of Oklahoma, northwest Texas, and extreme eastern New Mexico Friday afternoon and evening. So be careful in those areas. Day 3 is like a marginal risk still. Texas and New Mexico. Some spots isolated strong severe storms are possible on Saturday, parts of eastern New Mexico into western Texas. So be careful in those areas, but nothing that crazy, and nothing works here today. But we have this elevated fire threat across southern Colorado and New Mexico, and also in Florida because it's so dry still. So be careful. That fire danger possible today, but it's just an elevator. But be careful anyway. So there's day 2 here. There's still an elevator across Arizona, New Mexico, spots of Texas, especially New Mexico. So be careful. Those areas have some discussions for heavy rainfall still happening, some flash flooding and severe weather there. In those areas, day 2, some general storms and mixed precipitation. Day 3, still some mixed precipitation in the west and some general storms. Excess rainfall, there's these 3 slight risks. It even looks like a painting, these 3 slight risks next to each other. So let's see, there's one in Iowa, spots of Nebraska into northwesternmost Missouri and Kansas, another one in Texas and Oklahoma for the storms now into this afternoon, and another one in Louisiana and Mississippi. So be careful in those areas, some flash flooding, those storms. It might be dangerous. So there's the marginal risk around it, big area. They choose still a big area. Marginal risk from New Mexico all the way to western New York. There's day 3, a marginal risk the northeast, one in the plains again. Day 4, a marginal risk unusually far north into Oklahoma, North Dakota, spots of Minnesota into South Dakota too, and day 5 still in the north. So be aware in those areas. In terms of snow, Wyoming, a finger or two in Montana. Day 2, the mountains, California, a finger or two. Day 3, even more in Nevada, in California, so be aware in the mountains. Day 4, some of the mountains still, especially the Rockies, Wyoming, Montana. Day 5, still some. Day 5 is next Monday. Day 4, Sunday. Day 6, more in Canada, maybe the UP of Michigan. Day 7, a finger or two. So be aware in those areas. The hazards here indicate the severe weather in orange, plus some heavy rain, the green, the plains and the northeast, and some high wind. So be careful in those areas. We have some severe thunderstorm warnings and flash flood warnings already in Texas there as I speak, and some river flooding still. winter advisory in Montana, some red flag warnings in Colorado, wind advisories in Alaska. No, Alaska, that's Nevada. In Nevada, near Arizona, some wind advisories. But this changes all the time, so check the link in the description to see the warnings when you watch this. So here there's those storms, shows like those storms in Texas now, in Oklahoma and Louisiana now as well. They have the heavy rainfall there. So this goes still some stronger storms in Texas this afternoon, Central East Texas, but then something starts happening later in the afternoon. You see those cells firing in western Texas and the Panhandle, and more in Oklahoma's southern Kansas. And those initial cells might be very strong with big hail, so be careful. And a tornado so it goes. They continue through the evening and might start making a tornado or two later as they mature. So please be careful tonight in Oklahoma. Some storms and maybe the leftovers in Kansas and those areas. So this goes shows a few southeastern Colorado as well, and still further east tomorrow in the U.S. Scattered showers and storms. So be careful, and even into Canada, southern Ontario might have a finger or two, and some rain on the west as well later Friday into Saturday. So be careful in those areas, especially those severe storms. There's some cape here too from the HER shows this afternoon spots of Texas, and it's unusually high today. Shows even to 3,000 joules per kilogram. Spots of the Panhandle ahead of the dry line in those storms, and behind virtually nothing because the storms already ate the Cape up. But ahead of the storms shows a lot of Cape, including west and central Texas and some in Kansas, close to 2,000 joules per kilogram, in Oklahoma as well, even 2,500. So be careful in those areas. And still sun tomorrow afternoon in the south. So be careful in those areas. We have here the significant tornado part of the HER as well, just to take a look if it shows something might be worthy. So the show later this evening around the Panhandle, northern Texas, some parameters. This is nothing that crazy, but these are some considerable parameters to keep in mind. So be careful. The tornado threat later today in the northern Texas still shows a finger or two in Colorado or Kansas, but very low compared to Texas. So be careful in those areas. Have some ways to receive warnings and everything. It still shows later in the evening a few spots in Texas, Colorado, Kansas, well, some tornado parameters. So be careful in those areas. There's still like the 12Z from today was very crazy. It showed this evening like some very big parameters in Texas. The recent runs don't show this, but just keep in mind that's a possibility. So the updraft list from the 12Z until tomorrow shows like the strongest storms near the Panhandle, northern Texas, even a finger in Colorado, but those ones in Texas might have some very big hail. The enhanced risk in some in eastern Texas too. So stay safe. Those storms, be careful. Those areas and longer range. This is next Monday by the GFS shows this trough coming in, especially around the Midwest to northern plains and those areas, and might provide a lot of shear for those storms plus moisture. The thing here is those dew points that the GFS is showing shows like by Monday afternoon even some 68 69 dew points in spots of Iowa, some 50s and 60s dew points as far north as Minnesota. So if this does happen, that's a lot of fuel for those storms, but sometimes the GFS can be a little bit weird. But who keep watching later in the evening on the 28th still shows some high dew points. So be careful in those areas. There's the European too and it also shows some 60s dew points there, and earlier in the afternoon, like 18Z next Monday, shows even 64 dew points in central southern Minnesota, and even close to 70 down in Kansas, Oklahoma, but in the main area there's some 60s dew points, so that's a lot. So be careful in those areas. And here in another place, we can see the Cape as well. Shows like next Sundays, Mondays, especially later Monday, the European models are at 2,500 joules per kilogram, right between Iowa and Nebraska, more than 3,000 joules per kilogram of Cape next Monday afternoon. Even Minnesota, more than 2,000 joules per kilogram. So that's a lot of fuel, a big warm sector. So please be careful. Missouri, more than 3,000 in Iowa. So gotta watch very closely next week, because even later in the afternoon it shows even close to 4,000 joules per kilogram. So be careful. The GFS is big with the dew points and the trough, but the Cape shows slightly less than the European. This does show in Iowa more than 3,000 joules per kilogram. So be careful in those areas, and considering all those factors that I showed you, we do have here for day 5 a big risk for severe weather. Spots of Iowa, southern Minnesota, spots of northern Missouri, not to northeastern Kansas, and far eastern Nebraska and Wisconsin. That's already an enhanced risk for day 5. So please be aware there. There's the 15%, there will be the slight risk from Kansas as far north as the UP of Michigan. So a big area there. So be careful. It is still some days away, but it's worth watching if you are there very, very closely. As this gets closer, just make sure you have what you need in case a tornado strikes and severe weather, a safety plan and everything. So be careful in those areas. There's day 6 still, a slight risk from Texas to Michigan, not way to Ontario if you consider Canada. So please be careful in those areas, and it's a very wide slight risk for day 6 to 15%. So be careful. Day 7 is still nothing, and day 8 nothing, but day 5 is a big day to watch, and including here for the Colorado State University, severe weather probabilities does show day 3 through 8 here. So here's for Saturday, Sunday, shows some stuff there. And even shows day 4, Sunday, a thing or two. But Monday already shows a hatched area for potential significant severe weather, and that purple there, a 45% of chance of severe weather already. So that might be very significant, including all hazards like hail, especially tornadoes might be big as well, and damaging winds. So please be careful. And the SPC does mention that big description there that some higher probabilities might be needed closer to the event. So we gotta monitor this very, very closely. Still day 6, they have it here as well. And if I were in Canada, I would watch this as well. And shows more spots. The SIPS is already crazy about day 8, but let's not talk about that yet. So be careful those areas and stay safe. You can see those storms in Texas already happening, and be careful. In Canada, we still have some snow on the west coast, including Alaska, and we do have like now, so that was next week, so I just shifted back to the present day, April 24th, and it's kind of the same thing, a little bit of snow in the Pacific and Northwestern Territories, some spots there, and all those storm madness in the US, many storms. So Thursday into Friday tomorrow shows more snow, Northwestern Canada. This goes Northwestern Territories, maybe more, And into this weekend as well, into Sunday, the European does have some freezing rain Manitoba Sunday, more snow, this goes. And talk about the northeastern US, kind of Atlantic Canada, does show Saturday this front, more rain Quebec and some snow too, and especially some heavy rain for Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and more snow in Newfoundland and some rain as well. So this goes, even some freezing rain next Tuesday. So be aware. And then Sunday, Monday, this severe weather starts building, shows even storm or two in Ontario, some snow and freezing rain just north of it. This goes, some storms in Quebec, Monday to Tuesday in Ontario, especially in Ontario, some stronger storms Tuesday and Monday, with some snow and freezing rain behind it. Then Wednesday shows even some big storms to the northeast, and then this goes, especially like Tuesday night. So more snow Wednesday the 30th in Quebec, maybe Labrador, all the way into May 2nd, and some stuff still later. So be careful in those areas. We'll keep watching. The GFS is a similar thing. That snow there in central northwestern Canada until next Sunday. Still next Sunday, Monday, spots to northwest. Maybe this Pacific front the next Monday in British Columbia. More rain and snow, and some snow for Alaska, northwestern Canada still Tuesday, Wednesday. And the system, the severe weather later. So stay safe in those areas. A quick look here. Those temperatures, the GFS like very cold still northern Canada, even to minus 26. The Europeans like minus 18, but it shows some other temperatures southern Canada. Then this goes Friday, Saturday, still milder southern Canada. A good break for you from that crazy cold. And then still shows this cold affecting none of the northwestern territories, Yukon, Alaska, more spots in northern British Columbia, and northern Quebec. And the US is kind of spared except for the Rockies. So shows already next Sunday some cold in Quebec and Ontario once again, but this goes much milder still next Sunday afternoon in the south. Still those negative temperatures, and at night might get pretty cold in some spots of the north, including northern Quebec. So be our Monday. This goes the milder part before the colder part behind the front of the severe storms, and then the next Tuesday morning some colder temperatures reaching as far south as North Dakota, those negative temperatures, and more throughout northern Canada and the Rockies in the US. So Tuesday, Wednesday, later Thursday, the May 1st is my dive as far south as southern Ontario and Quebec. Some cold there still. Just watching trends here, but no certainty yet. But in the US still those days in the south, occasion 90 in Florida, some spots there, and kind of cooler in the north in some spots. Still shows like tomorrow morning, Friday, some 20s, 30s in the mountains, some teens, warmer in the south. Friday afternoon, those days in the south, 70s, even to the northeast. It even shows 81 in Connecticut, shows some 70s in interior spots to the west. Still Saturday morning, some colder temperatures the Rockies, especially the Sierra Nevadas, some very low teens, and some 30s northern Midwest still. Day 3 still shows Saturday afternoon, much warmer throughout the country, especially in the south, and some spots colder because those lower pressures in the southwest, they'll kickstart that trough, they'll go and cause the severe weather. But shows Sunday, still some single digits, the highest points Sierra Nevada, some negative temperatures, spots of the of the Rockies, like some 30s, 20s Fahrenheit, and still in the north. So still shows day 4, Sunday afternoon, some 70s as far north as North Dakota, some May is still in the south, 90s in the southeast, in Florida. So yeah, and still Monday morning, colder in the Rockies, the mountains, the Sierra Nevada. So be aware, some teens, 20s, 30s, and still before the severe weather, Monday afternoons, some A's as far north as Minnesota, especially in the south, some higher A's, some 70s and A's, the southwest as well. And next Tuesday morning, this front comes and like still some 30s, 20s behind it in the Rockies and Northern Plains. There's Tuesday afternoon, warmer in the east, southeast, still warmish in the north, but not as much as before, and some 90s in the southwest. There's next Wednesday morning, shows like some 30s, the northern Midwest, in the Rockies, into some 20s, and warmer ahead of that, and because the slight cooler air behind that system, and next Wednesday afternoon some 70s again in the plains, and some 80s, 90s in the southwest, southeast. So be aware those areas still show slightly windier in Nevada, spots of the Rockies, some spots there, but nothing really that crazy, and shows like some snow next 48 hours California and Wyoming, spot or two in southern Montana and Idaho. So be aware, and even some more mountain spots and ice, not really. So be aware, those areas, just a quick wind gust recap, shows like those spots this afternoon, maybe Texas, slightly gustier, watching those oceanic winds in Hawaii, but just some light breezes, and maybe not so light, but kind of breezes. So shows like Saturdays, some higher gusts in Nevada, Utah, some spots there, some 40s, 50s mile per gusts, depending on the spot. This goal still shows as Saturday afternoon, South Dakota, Nebraska, slightly higher gusts, spots of the southwest still. Sunday, probably in the northeast, spots of 50s, even to 58 mile per gust, so some spots there. Let's check again, 56, 55 mile per gust, and some more in the northeast. So Sunday, Monday, still the severe weather will be some big winds and spots of the Rockies behind it. So Mondays, spots of Canada Tuesday, those storms, Hudson Bay, northern Quebec maybe, and still in the northeast of Atlantic Canada, May 1st, and this goes some strong gusts. So be aware, those areas in Canada, there's nothing so crazy, but does show sometimes in some spots of the west, some stronger breezes. Northern Alaska, good to mention as well, and a few spots, maybe Labrador and Quebec, some spots Sunday, and then maybe in the Labrador Sea, more spots there. So be aware, there's snow, still shows in the Rockies, there spots in the US, the Sierra Nevada, but first it's already in centimeters, so let's see spots of Canada, shows some 20 centimeters, 18 this section all the way from Yukon to Manitoba. You might have those snow creepers, spots of Yukon, be aware, some spots of western British Columbia, especially in northern areas, some in Alberta shows potentially, or British Columbia, northern Quebec and Labrador, some more snow too, even southern Quebec, a few hot spots there, and a thing or two in Newfoundland or New Brunswick, so be aware. There's the GFS, slightly different. The GFS more spread out, even some snow in Saskatchewan, and more spots there. So in the GFS, even more in southern Quebec. The icon very few in southern Quebec, but that creeper far north. So be aware, those areas there still are now for snow, shows those spots of southern Montana next 5 days, even to 30 inches. The European, more in Wyoming, spots of Idaho, still shows in California some 8, 9 inches, 3, 4 inches, 3 inches, 5 inches, depending where you're at. And Nevada, some scared snow in Nevada, especially the mountains in Idaho, spots of Utah, and even some in Colorado. And yes, so be aware, those areas in the northeast, potentially a thing or two in New Hampshire, Vermont, New York, next 5 days. So be aware, those areas for rain accumulation, shows those storms there in the US, even to more than 70 millimeters in Nova Scotia, southern areas close to 80, in southern Newfoundland, the Europeans even to 100 millimeters, so be aware, some bursts of heavy rain there, and those storms in the US, of course, will have some heavier downpours, and maybe some spots in the Pacific, and just showing here stuff again for Alaska. There's no southern Alaska, some in western Alaska, southwestern Alaska, and more southern Alaska. So be careful in those areas. And just verifying the precipitation here, they show 3 inches to 4 inches plus next 7 days in the plains, those storms, and also further north, some in California as well, a little bit, and on the east. So be aware, those areas